Hi friends, in my previous video we were discussing about the types of drama and we have briefly discussed tragedy along with the definition of Aristotle. There are some kinds of tragedy also. As tragedy is a type of drama, there are some types or kinds of tragedy also. That includes revenge tragedy, domestic tragedy, social tragedy, melodrama, romantic tragedy, heroic drama. In revenge tragedy or the tragedy of blood, which derives from Seneca, its material of murder, revenge, ghosts, mutilation, and carnage. It was a dramatic genre which includes all these things. Actually, it started since the period of Seneca, a Greek dramatist. It was a dramatic genre that flourished in the late Elizabethan and Jacobean period. The best example of this revenge tragedy is Thomas Kyd's Spanish tragedy published in 1586. Established this popular form, later to be followed by Christopher Marlowe's The Jew of Malta, published in 1592, Webster's The Duchess of Malfi, published in 1612, and William Shakespeare's Hamlet, published in 1602. So all these tragedies are the revenge tragedies. Then there is another type or kind of tragedy is domestic tragedy, which was written in a prose and presented a protagonist from the middle or low social rank who suffers a commonplace or domestic disaster. This was popularized by 18th century writers, for example, George Lillo's The London Merchant. What it means that the tragedy includes the protagonist who belong to a middle or lower class and who suffers in a common places and domestic disaster. So this is domestic disaster, and due to his poor economical background, he suffers a commonplace. So you can call such type of tragedies a domestic tragedy. Social tragedy, third point. Social tragedy revolve around an issue of general social and political significance. As the title indicates, social tragedy that includes social and political things or the important aspects. Social and political important aspects are uh, uh, decorated or explored in such tragedies. These represent middle class or working class heroes and heroines. Such tragedies, social tragedies includes middle class or working class heroes and heroines. Notable tragedies of 19th and 20th centuries are Henrik Ibsen's Doll's House. These are the just examples, and you just listen carefully that what kind of tragedy which is. So social tragedy reveals social important points. And such tragedies, for example, are Henry Gibson's A Doll's House and Ghosts, and Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, published in 1949. I think Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman was for the syllabus before 1 or 2 years ago in Shivaji University, Kolhapur, for the students of BA Part 3rd. Now, fourth point is melodrama. Melodrama originally applied to musical plays, including opera. The protagonists are flat types. Your drama relies on implausible events and sensational action. Continuous action drives a plot through a series of adventures. It thrives on thrills, excitement, suspense, and rescues. The conflict is external and everything is delineated as black or white. Melodrama appears to deal with serious subjects, but its seriousness is only pretense. Most of the serious dramas never reached the heights of tragedy and thus became melodramas. Adventure films are examples of this. So in melodrama there is thrills, excitement, suspense, and rescue. Sometimes it will not reach up to the mark of tragedy, and that's why it remains a melodrama. But all these things includes in this drama, and that's why it is called melodrama. There are thrills, excitements. There are some movies of James Bond, not 7. Such kinds of dramas are melodramas. There are thrill in his movies, James Bond. Sean Connery, the famous actor, played the role of James Bond. So there are thrills in his movies, excitement is there, suspense is there, and rescues is there. So all these things are part and parcel of such dramas, which is called melodrama. The next kinds of tragedy is romantic tragedy. Romances which end unhappily or with the death of the hero and heroine are categorized as romantic tragedies. As its title suggests, there is a romance. Between hero and heroine. But at the end, hero and heroine dies. The death of hero and heroine are unavoidable in such dramas. You might have seen the movie कयामत से कयामत तक. So this movie based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. This drama, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, is a romantic tragedy. So, a romantic tragedy deals with the romance between hero and heroine, and later the situation leads the hero and heroine towards the death. You can call such kinds of dramas are romantic tragedy. And the next and the last kind of tragedy is heroic drama. Heroic dramas may not look deeply into the philosophical questions of good, evil, man's relation to supernatural, etc. These are the heroic dramas. But they abide by the rules of poetic justice and portray swashbuckling adventures. Such heroic dramas may not look deeply into the philosophical questions of good, evil, man's relations to supernatural, etc. But they abide by the rules of poetic justice and portray swashbuckling adventures. Only adventures are there. They strictly stick up with poetic justice. And the example of this drama is the Count of Monte Cristo. So these are some kinds of tragedies. You may understand this because you must differentiate. You must be able to differentiate within the tragedies. Various kinds of tragedies are there. For better understanding, you must know which is a revenge tragedy, which is a domestic tragedy, which is a social tragedy, which is a melodrama, which is a romantic tragedy, which is a heroic drama. You must understand all these things, and that's why this is the brief information about the kinds of tragedies. In my next video, we will see second type of drama, and that is comedy. Thank you.